forgotten why he's on this show. Hi people, welcome back. If it's your first time, my name is Talia Adewale. This is DISBYDEM. Guys, it is hotter than devil's armpit where I am today. But anyways, we're covering episode 2, Better Late Than Single. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments. I think this is going to be a good show. I'm really enjoying it so far. And I already have favorites and people that I know that I'm not going to gel with. So yeah. And hit the notification bell so you know when I post new videos. And let's just get into it. So episode 2 opens up like with a letter. I think it was a letter each. They called it the dating newsletter, and it was just letters from their cupids, their mentors, just words of encouragement, you know, telling them to keep up the good work, like continue working on the things that they wanted, you know, to change on the aspects. Basically, keep your chin up, you know. It is what it is. A lot of them really enjoyed it. I liked In-guk. I'm liking him more as a cupid now, just because I don't know, because I'm seeing a lot of the stuff that he did for them. I'm not saying that the cupids didn't do work, but a lot of the things that he did was really just kind of talk them up, which I guess most of the cupids did. Let me just put it this way. Car the Garden is the only one that I don't like. Because I don't necessarily think that he did anything to help his singles, if I'm being honest. In-guk like had this whole, you know, letter like sent to Jaeyoon, just telling him to keep up the good work, keep practicing, keep improving in the areas. Like, it was very heartfelt, you know. He even said it that it was like he was writing to his son. I just thought that was really cute. Hana, who I totally forgot that I'm watching her in My Roommate is a Gumiho right now. Loving the show. I'm almost done with it. It's that interesting that I just keep going. Hana also, I like the way she interacts, or even the way she comments as a host. And then Eun-ji, I think is the name. She's just funny. I just like the way she's reacting to, you know, the events of what's happening in the singles villa right now. But Jisu then gets a message that she gets a 5-minute pass to the library. Nobody knows what the library is. This is the first time that we're seeing the library. So what it essentially is a room with diaries of all the singles where they answered 100 questions. So being the person who got voted the most, she and Jaeyoon get access to the library, but for only 5 minutes. They can't take anything out with them, but they're allowed to take notes. Jisoo picks Sang-ho's diary. That's who she's interested in, and she kind of skimmed through it like a speed reader. It was kind of cute actually, but she didn't take any notes. I don't think she wanted to. She even said, oh, I didn't bring any notes. I didn't bring a notepad or a book so I could take notes, and she had the opportunity to, because there was a notepad on the table and there was pens, but I think she was just hyper focused on the guy that she likes, and so she didn't even notice. Jane, on the other hand, who picked Yo-myung's diary, only looked through the first 5 questions. He was not a speed reader about it. But he did take notes. He noticed the notepad and he took notes. On his way back to his room, Yeon-myung and who's her roommate? Is it Ido? Jisoo? I don't know. Yeon-myung and some other girls were at the door because I think they're roomed opposite Jaeyoon. And she says hi. And my man's literally malfunctioned. I don't think I've ever witnessed an in-person malfunction before. But it's exactly as what you picture it. His brain went into hyperdrive and shut down. Oh my lord. And I think in that very moment, he regressed back to his old self. I felt bad for him though. It's a lot coming at you when the person that you like is just right there. You were just reading their personal diary, you know, where they answered 100 questions about themselves. And now you have to look at them and say hi. I felt for him, I really did. But he totally malfunctioned, couldn't get into his room, couldn't figure out the code, nothing. In the end, he does make it in. And he has this, you know, embarrassed moment. And his roommate, Jung-mook, is like, what's happening? What's happening? You scared me, you know? It was just a very funny moment. Even the host, like, crashed out laughing about it. I gotta go get my inhaler, guys. I'm dying. I'll be right back. Woo! Then they get texts that they needed to gather. There's breakfast in the, you know, breakfast room or the day room or whatever it is. And they needed to gather there. They get over there and there's drinks on the table and they tell them to just pick one. So they had 3 coffees, iced Americanos, 1 green tea, and 1 juice. ended up being tangerine juice. They're told to pick one. Everybody is thinking, oh, this is how they're going to choose dates. And people were not wrong. At first, I thought maybe it was because there were 3 iced Americanos. So 3 iced Americanos were for, you know, the 3 votes that were cast for Jaehyun and Jisoo. But that didn't make sense. That was my thinking at first. But then it really solidified that picking the drinks meant picking your dates. So Ido, who gets there first, says that she was going to wait for the guys to pick first. And then she was going to choose, but then because she got there first, she decided that since I'm here, I should just pick. And she picks green tea. Remember this fact, guys, because later on when she says something, it's where I start to not like, Pink Barbie's dropping degrees for me, but we'll get to it. So Yido picks the green tea. Jisoo picks the orange juice because she just read in Sangho's diary that he likes mango juice. So she thought that was mango juice and she was hoping that that's what he would pick so she would get paired with the guy that she likes. The guys are being all, you know, calm, respectful. They're like, oh, you got here first, you pick. And obviously that leads to people not getting who they wanted. Seungri told, who did he even tell? Who did Seungri want? He wanted Jisoo, but because Sangho and Kyunghyun came first, he was like, no, you guys decide, you guys pick first. So in the end, Kyunghyun picked the iced tea, Sangho picked the tangerine juice, and then the other guys ended up with the iced Americanos. So Seungri is thinking, oh my god, I have a rival because Sangho picked the same drink as Jisoo, so maybe he likes her. While Sangho is thinking, I was thirsty, I saw tangerine juice, I didn't want coffee, so I picked tangerine juice. I think maybe Sangho has forgotten why he is on this show. And it gets worse throughout the day. But let's move on. They then get a text saying that their first dates will be based on the drinks that they chose. So obviously Do and Hyun-kyu are paired up, Sangho, Jisoo are paired up, and the other 3 are going to have a triple date. Which I'm not really sure about in this scenario. I mean, I guess it's 50-50. Triple date or a double date helps ease the situation or the awkwardness where it's not one-on-one, considering they don't really have, you know, the, what they call it, the flirting or the social skills to be able to be flirty with the people that they have crushes on. But then it also takes away, which is what happened, from that one-on-one where you're focused on the person that you potentially might end up dating. Anywho, there was this whole miscommunication at the date table. Jaehyun is sitting opposite Yo-myung. I keep forgetting her name. He's sitting opposite her and she was like, oh, I saw you this morning and I hadn't even had my makeup on. I don't think I looked well. And he says in his, you know, ASMR voice, no, you looked okay. I don't know if she heard or not, but that was what he said. Now, Jiyeon, who was like beside Yo-myung, took his words and thought that he said, look at me, because she was like, oh my god, I'm so nervous. Who do I look at? Who do I look at? She'd heard him say, no, you look okay, and translated that in her brain to look at me. So she's telling Yido about it, and Yido is like, yeah, I heard him say that. I'm like, Yido, you're feeding into this girl's delusion. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind being assertive and saying this is who you want, you know, this is my type of person and this is who I want to be with. But I feel like she's the kind of girl that creates scenarios in her brain and just goes with the narrative that she has created in her head. Because why? Even the host said, you looked okay. How is she the only one who had look at me? I mean, I don't speak the language, guys. And personally, it didn't sound the same to me. But Jiyeon is there in her delulu and Yido is encouraging it. I don't know. I didn't particularly like Yido by the end of this episode, but that was a different thing entirely. And then I wrote in big capital letters, I like Jisoo because I just like the way she's carried herself. This girl has class, poise, and she's also quirky. She has this awkward energy around her that makes her really funny, and I love that about her. Anyways, Jisoo and Sangho are going on their date. She looks absolutely stunning, you know? Absolutely stunning. She wore blue because it was one of the favorite colors that she'd seen, or Sangho's favorite color that she'd read in the book. And she just looked really good. She borrowed some earrings from Minong, and she was just, you know, the girl was going on a date with the guy that she likes or has a crush on, and she dressed the part. And I really like that for her. And so she sits in the car and he asks, "Oh, do you have a jacket? I think it might cool down during the day." She says, no, she didn't really pack a lot of heavy clothes. She packed light clothes. And then he doesn't really say anything. He doesn't offer to give her his jacket. He doesn't say, "Oh, I have a jacket. If you get cold, I will give it to you." He doesn't say anything after that. He just keeps on moving. Now, I don't know if he was edited this way. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because there is no way that this date went as horribly as it did and she did not have more to say about it in her one-on-one. But it wasn't the best start. He didn't notice that she was wearing blue. He didn't notice anything. He didn't comment her on her look, He didn't say, "Oh my god, you look very pretty." Like, there was just a lot of missed opportunities for Sang-ho during this date, and it just went from bad to worse as the date went on. There was also the other factor that he was driving an electric car and it was different from what he usually drives. Plus, he doesn't really like driving to begin with. So I guess there was the nerves. There was having to operate heavy, machinery that you're not used to. Jisu was cracking jokes in the car and he was just woo, woo, woo. Like, he was not picking up on any of the social cues that this girl was laying down. He is sweating balls driving this car and having all these nerves in the car. She tells him that he was her first impression pick. No reaction again. I'm erring on the side of grace for Sang-ho, but I also think that Sang-ho forgot why he was on the show. I think it's 50-50, to be honest. She's trying throughout, honestly. She's cracking jokes. She's trying to have a conversation with him, and he's edited to not give her much. And I'm saying edited because I don't think that it was as bad as it was edited to look. And I feel like maybe it's because they want to give him this improvement story arc as he goes along. I don't know what it is, guys. I feel like he was edited in the wrong light, because even at first I was like screaming my head off. I was like, give this girl something. Give this girl something. There's no way that she's the one always talking and you can't give her anything. It's just very weird. They do get to their date and it's a tangerine orchard and they're going to be making jam. This had to be the first show where putting on aprons was the least romantic thing I'd ever seen in my life. Usually in Korean shows, Asian shows, Chinese, Japanese, whenever it comes to anything that where they have to put on apron, they help each other out, they turn it into this, cute, artsy moment. I was starting to get tired of it. I did not know that I would miss it because, my God. She says, "Should I help you?" He says, "No, I got it." This was not the first time. Again, throughout this episode was just chaotic. It was chaotic and all romantic in all the worst ways. Oh my God, he says no thank you. And well, what else can she do? She's not going to force herself on him, right? Anyways, moving on. She's trying, he's giving nothing still during the date. Then she asked about his first impression and he said he picked Young-myung. Now, I hated this for her. Personally, I did. I hated it for her. But she asked. I'm a very firm believer of if you don't want the answer, don't ask the question, because I'm gonna tell you the truth. So if she asked, he gave her. But then he also goes on to explain that because it was the first night and she was there and she had a pretty smile, that's why he picked her. He doesn't really put anything too serious on the first impression because he hasn't really met people and hasn't talked to people. She said no, that first impressions matter. They differed on this. She felt like first impressions matter because it is basically you saying this is the kind of person that I'm interested in. He was like, it's the first night and I just had to pick somebody. He then tells her that he didn't pick her because he felt like he couldn't approach her, that she just felt too sophisticated, and that, for an analogy, if he eats pork rice, she eats steak, and he just felt like she was too good for him. Now, why would you put that label on yourself? Why would you put that label on her? You're on a dating show, so if they put her here, it means that it is equal chance. It's 50-50 for anybody. Anybody can get it as long as you guys like each other. I don't know. I can respect why he would feel that way, but what I didn't respect was him saying that he thought that all the other guys felt the same way too. I didn't respect that at all. Don't speak for other people. Speak for yourself, guy, and pause there. Why would you not put that label on her? So she also thinks that, maybe these people don't think that I'm good enough for them as well. Like, it's not his place to have said that. And that was the only thing I didn't agree with during that whole sentence about her being sophisticated. After the date, she's kind of cooling off a little bit while he says that he's getting interested. It's the freaking conga line. I really don't know. I also think that by the end of this episode, a lot of these singles should have grace with each other, considering that you're all in the same You're all in the same boat. You all have some, social cues or whatever that you're missing and learning and developing in this show. So if you yourself have been an eternal single, knowing that there's a reason behind it, also realize that these other people have been eternal singles too and have grace with them. And the couple that I'm factoring in here is Young and Jaehyun. Young moved completely over to somebody else because she felt like Jaehyun wasn't giving her anything. Granted, he wasn't. But again, have grace. Knowing that, yes, there's a reason why this guy is here. And maybe he's just shy. It is very obvious that he's a very shy guy. So maybe try for more than 5 minutes before you're jumping ship. Is all I'm saying. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not the one dating them. So what's my own business? Next couple was Yido and Hyunkyu. So he says that she asked him who he wanted for the date, and he says that she was the one he wanted to pick. And here I was like, oh my god, did he just lie? Because his first impression was Jisoo. So I just tabled that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna table this to see how you move first, and we'll know whether we're side eyeing you throughout the show. He then asks her back that who was she interested in for the date, and she changes the subject. This was when yellow flags crept up for me for Yido. I was like, okay, that was very unfair because you started it. You asked him first. So if you're gonna throw it out, you should be able to take it back. Why wouldn't you answer him when he asked you who was your own date? I just felt like that was a little shysty, not gonna lie. Who asked? I don't know, but her ideal type is, she says, a tofu boy. A guy who's soft and with feminine features, right? And soft on the inside. And this is where this thing boggled my mind, because the two guys that she says she claims right now to be interested in, Jungmyuk and Song Lee, are not tofu types. So exactly what is she looking for? This was another thing. This was the second part. At this point, the flag was turning orange, and I was just like, oof. I had an instant feeling that I might not like this girl by the end of this show. But let's keep going, because she really does turn it into a red flag for me by the end of this day. They then clarify what he had meant when he said that he wanted her for the date in the car. So because she'd asked who his first impression was. I don't know how they got to the subject, but he was like, no, that was not the question I answered in the car. You asked me who I wanted for this date, and I said you. I was also interested in you too, so I wanted you for the date. It was a miscommunication. She felt like it almost felt like her bubble was bursting. I was like, what's the actual F? You sit there on your high throne, not liking this boy, yet you want him to pick you. How do people think? I don't know. She was already rubbing me the wrong way at this point, so I was not just interested. Then she goes on to say in her one-on-one that she doesn't like green tea, but Hyunkyu, is his name Hyunkyu? Yes, Hyunkyu likes green tea. So maybe someone else who would have liked green tea would have enjoyed the date more. And I was like, if you did not like green tea, why the fuck did you pick green tea in the morning? I need to calm down. This was a red flag. This wasn't for me. It was a tipping scale. I was like, no, I don't like this tomfoolery. Don't waste my time. You know what? Don't waste my time. It's just annoying. It's very annoying. Because why? Oh god. At that point I checked out of Yido, guys. I checked out of her. Maybe because she doesn't like the boy. That's why it's like just rubbing me the wrong way. But I was not impressed with everything she said on the date in the first place. Then we move on to the 3-on-3, which are Jaehyun, Jungmyuk, and Song Lee with Ji-won. No, I keep doing this. Ji-yeon, Yeomyung, and who's the last person? Minong. God. Minong hasn't really had that much action, which is why I kept forgetting. Yeomyung was the only one who basically kind of got the people that she wanted, because she was interested in Jungmyuk and Song Lee, and they were both on this date. So it gave her the opportunity to potentially get to know these two men. So they're all talking, and Jungmyuk asked if anyone's first choice has changed. So Minong switched from Jaehyun to Jungmyuk. I didn't really think the Jaehyun thing would last anyways, because she said that he was insufferable. Oh, Jesus Christ, okay, there we go. She called him something in episode 1 that I didn't think was a compliment. But now she switched to Jungmyuk because she said she hasn't actually had a conversation with Jaehyun, and she has with Jungmyuk, and he's like actually funny. Plus in the car he was making a lot of jokes. Yeomyung switched from Jungmyuk to Song Lee. We all know why she did that in the first place. And then Jaehyun switched from Jisu, I believe, to Yeon-mung. God, these names are going to kill me. Anyways, their date is at Sing 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 roller skate, which I remember from Exchange Another Beginning, because that Sing Sing Sing, for some reason, it made my brain malfunction and I didn't understand what I was reading or seeing. So, does that mean the show is on Jeju Island? I don't remember them saying where it was, but I feel like it is. Or it might be a franchise. I don't know. It looked like the same place to me. Another kind of miscommunication again, where Jaehyun, because at ASMR, he doesn't really speak loudly. It's one of the things that he's working on, right? He'd gone, while they were doing up their, lacing up their skates, he'd said, do you want me to help you with that? And he'd said it twice, but Yeon-myung did not hear him. Seungri, on the other hand, did. Because they were kind of sitting close to each other. So it was this awkward moment where he then defaults to Seungri and he's like, do you want me to do it? And Seungri is looking at him like, huh? What are you talking about? It was just a very funny thing. It was sad, but it was funny. In the end, he does actually get through. He looks straight at Yeon-mung and says, do you want me to help you? And then she rejects him and says no. And I was like, do these people not understand well, they don't. And that's why they're never daters, right? But come on nah. It's simple cues. Then again, I don't think she's interested in Jaehyun anymore. Like, I don't think he's even on the list. I think she fully switched over to Seungri, and so she's not checking out for him romantically like that, which is unfortunate because Mans is shooting his shots the best way that he can. I think that rejection, though, I think it did a number on him. Somebody check on him, to be honest, for that day, because I would not want to speak again if I went out of my way, if this was me being courageous and I got shot down like that. Forget it. Packing my load and I'm going home. The girls then end up helping the girls, and the boys help the boys strap up. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Oh God, they almost need to have chaperones, aka dating coaches, right on scene with them, like whispering into their ears and telling them how to navigate these social situations. So in capital letters, I wrote forever alone because this date, it literally went from bad to worse, because in the end, the boys were doing their thing. Jaehyun and Jungkook were fighting for their lives in that rink, while Seungri he thought this was an international sport and he was trying to win the whole game. And the girls, Yeon-myung ended up being the best skater out of all of them. Jiyeon was the one who couldn't move at all. Minong especially was really helping Jiyeon. None of the men offered to help. Jungkook said that because he'd already fallen once, he didn't really want to give anybody help just in case they fell and it was an even worse situation than his first fall. And I'm like, valid, but but that's why there's a rail, there are walls. Like, they just had zero skills. Jaehyun was whispering to himself the whole time, just trying to stay afloat. And Seungri was taunting them, saying that you're going to be practicing the whole day, instead of actually grabbing a girl's hand and, going with it. In his defense, though, let's just play devil's advocate here. The girl that he was interested in wasn't one of the three. So I get why he wasn't really interested in getting physical with anybody. But even if he thought about it as practice, talking to the opposite sex, it would have been a better situation than what he was doing. It ended up being a girl's date and a boy's date, and it just did not go well for anybody. It was very chaotic, awkward, and it was the least romantic thing. Well, everything was pretty much unromantic this episode, if I'm being honest. It was just unromantic all around. They ended up taking a break, and then Yeon-myung says, oh, I'm going back to roller skate. Anybody want to skate with me? And the boys kind of pseudo-elect Jaehyun, because he kind of raised his hand a little. He did this and then put it back real quick. So he ends up being the one with her back on the rink. In the one-on-one, she then tells us that she was actually not talking to everybody. She was kind of talking to Jungkook. But in this scenario, this is where she should have been specific and said, Jungkook, do you want to go back into the rink with me? Nobody likes rejection. But how will somebody know you're interested if you're not really being direct? And yes, they're later daters and all these things, but they watch videos. They know why they're here. So if you're gonna step out of your comfort zone in the first place, then do it. There's something that some very good friends of ours used to say: choose your hard. If the hard is that you're going to come here, waste your time, knowing fully well every step of this has been very difficult for you, and you're wasting your time and going back single, what's the point? If it's going to be hard all around, then choose your hard. Choose the hard that leads to your happiness. So her telling us in the 101 that it's Jungkook that she wanted doesn't really do anything for her. How does that get his attention? I mean, she does go around with Jaehyun. He can't really skate, so in the end, she feels bad for him. They don't have a conversation, and it was just weird all around. Anywho, they go back home, and they are told to gather by the fire pit. You know, I think it's the nightly singles night event that they do, and tonight it's men's night, singles night. So they're gathered, and I see a suitcase in the far end, and there's a new single in the house, guys. Oh my goodness. So we have a new single. He's Sung Chan. He's 31 years old. Arrow cute with a capital T. He's extremely cute. And he did not look 31. He looked like one of the younger ones on the show. He said that he did have a relationship once. He was but it was a short-term relationship. It was only for 100 days. When he said 100 days, I was like, player! Considering his audience, guys, he is the most experienced person in the room. Player. I actually had a good cackle. I was laughing for a solid minute about the whole thing. I mean, short or not, that's a relationship, isn't it? So, they called him the 100-day game changer. At first, I was laughing that they called him a game changer, but considering, again, the people that he is with, it is totally, I think it's an apt nickname for him. They now show us, the back of it and before his glow up. And my God, what a glow up. This, I think, was the most dramatic glow up. I thought Sang-ho really did a switch up with his glow up, but this was completely different. I really didn't like it. He thought that maybe his hair, because he had this frosted blonde tips, he thought that maybe his hair, a lot of his friends were saying that his hair was the problem and that's why he was single. Personally, the hair was not the problem. I don't think. I didn't mind the hair. Personally, I didn't mind the hair. Yeah, it was frosted and sometimes it was a different color, but the hair was fine. But when you put the hair, the flower glasses, the flower print shirts, it's just the whole tapestry that just wasn't working. And I think it was the whole combination that was the woman repellent for him in the grand scheme of things. But he just, I don't know. In-guk was his Cupid. And I think In-guk did a very, very good job. The whole styling, he had major input. This was where I think I started liking In-guk more, because as an actor I really do like him. This is where I liked him more, just the way he actually did take care of Sung Chan. I think he did a very good job. He was very particular about the kind of style, the hair, his eyebrows. Like, he was the one doing all the input, and I thought that was fantastic. So they get a text that men should reveal their info and it's going to be ages and jobs. So we did cover ages, but I will just go through it. I didn't cover jobs in the first episode. Hyun-kyung is 26 and he's a med student in his final year. He's thinking orthopedic surgery, but he has to do his residency first or his internship, one or the other. Jaehyun is 27 and he's a 3D artist. I think he has a very cool job. Seungri is 27 and he's a global marketer. Remember that he speaks 4 languages. Sang-ho is 27 and he's a defense contractor researcher in the defense industry. Jungkook is 26 and he's a chemical biology molecular engineering student in his 3rd year. I thought that was impressive, but he was feeling very intimidated by the medical student at this point. And I'm like, I'm sorry, guy. I can't even say your whole I can't say your program in one sitting. I can't. If I don't write it down, I don't remember. That's how impressed I am by what you're doing. But I guess different strokes, different folks, right? Min Hong was crushing hard at this point. So she said that she doesn't usually date younger guys. I think she's 27. I think she's 27. Hold on. I know I wrote their ages down. I even said the ages, didn't I? Minong, where you at? She's 28. Yes, she's 28. So she said that she doesn't usually date younger guys, but he's changing her mind. She just likes him. It really has nothing else to do with it. She has fallen hard for this guy, I think. And that's who she's vibing right now. So, but she said he's changing her mind and she's interested in dating him even though he is younger. And then last but not least for Sung Chan, he's 31 and this man is a full-on surgeon. Oh my God. He was really the game changer. They said Hyun-Kyu said, oh my God, they started with the medical student and they ended with the doctor, that he's who he wants to be in the future. So he's a full-on doctor, and considering the way he used to dress, it was very not like, it was, yin and yang basically. And In-guk explained that he didn't want to look like your typical medical, straight up suit type doctor, and that's why he went the opposite with it. But I think he overcompensated and just went. He was in the sunken place. He went to the trenches with it, is basically what it is. Jisoo had said something earlier when Song-chan was introduced. He said, oh, he came to shake up the game, but there really isn't any game at this point. And I was like, damn, Jisoo, she's not wrong. There was 0 game in all the dates today. Nothing worked out for any of the couples. The women seem to try and the men just seem to do their own things. It's like the men had a mind of their own when it came to the dating aspect of things, and it was just not working for anybody. Song-chan then gets a text that it's time for him to do his first impression. And he doesn't do his own in the igloo like the rest of them. He does it in a different room called the suite. Guys, it's basically the hideaway. If you've watched Love Island, it is the hideaway. Even the hosts were losing their mind. They're like, these people are not ready for like a hideaway situation. They will just combust. And I agree. But when it comes to things of the heart, I think all that takes a backseat, especially when you find a person that you like. If you want to do it, you will find a way. They do have separate beds though. Korea is always very respectful. You choose. If you want to sleep in the same bed, fine, but they give you the option to not if you don't want to. He has 20 minutes that he can spend with 2 girls of his choice. He picks Yeon-myung, and Jaehyun starts to spiral a little bit, and then we see Ido also go in there. Jung-wook was not a fan of that because everybody knows that is the girl that he's interested in. I tell you, this has been, so far it's really interesting. So I'm pretty sure we'll see more of the dates in the next episode. I also did go back, because I like to do that once I know who the people participating in the show are. I like to go back and look at the previews again. And it looks like maybe Jisoo will start getting deep with Song-chan, I think. That's what it seemed like. I'm not really sure who Young-moon was crying over. She was crying and telling somebody that it's you, but I don't know who it was. It's very interesting. I do think that Jaehyun will confess to somebody. I think it might be Young-moon in the end. Young-moon. Why do I keep calling her Young-moon? I'm confusing her with Jung-mook. Jeez Louise. But I thought it was interesting. They didn't give us a lot in the previews. In episode 1, we see Yudo crying at one point. We also see Yeon-myung crying, saying, "Lord, why is it hard? This shouldn't be this hard." But I know it's always a conga line to people solidify who they want, in the end. But yeah, love it. But yeah, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to leave those comments. Bye.